All right, let's catch up. We just finished the 31st game turn, and we are headed on to game turn 32. So now, a couple of interesting little developments here. Starting south here, the bottom end of the old Dnieper River. You know, when you see this on a map, I look at all the historical maps you might see on Wikipedia and stuff like that, and you can see that the Dnieper is a pretty good defensive line. Pretty much goes across the whole country, north to south almost, or at least it's in the southern sector. But when you get it out here on a game map, and somebody's put artwork into it to show the size of it, it's a definite great place for a defensive line. One of the best parts about it is if the Russians had anything, which I believe later in 44, 45, or 43, whatever. If you think about it, this pocket right there, if you're going to start a counter stroke against the Germans, and that pocket is great because, you can just cut these guys off. You could, just like they were doing to the Russians early in the war. Throughout the country, there's quite a few little areas like that. All right, but let's start down here in the south. So the Germans, they got across the river, but they couldn't get enough manpower across to do any attacking damage in here. So maybe the next turn they'll be able to get some stuff in there. Maybe a little infiltration movement or something. They got themselves into position up here to maybe get some attacks across that river there. But, the Soviet strength is just enough in these locations to put up a good fight. Decided to go ahead and move these Germans out here towards the river. They're going to go out of supply. However, with that said, the rail lines are starting to move. It's going to be slow, but they're starting to move. As soon as this one here touches that road, that's going to extend that 21 hex marker out, way out those roads. So that might relieve some of the pressure of supply. Already starting to build defenses here outside of Dnepropetrovsk, or whatever it's called. All right, going to try to keep them out of there. Brought some more Russian troops in here near Kremenskut. Going to try to keep the Germans out of that thing. We don't want them crossing. They're already across the river in enough spots as it is. The German unit there, the one under the out of supply marker that got caught, he got a retreat. And you have a table when you retreat that you roll if you go through a zone of control to see if they successfully get through it or they fail, and he successfully got through it. So he was able to get back to where he could touch that other unit there. So when he needs to go to trace supply, at least he's got that going for him, although I don't know if he's going to be in supply range. The rail hex up here, as soon as he just moved into that hex, so now this line has been extended down this road all the way over to here. So then 7 hexes from there. So now there's a lot of units that are going to come back into supply. I decided to take the Soviets and back across the river here at, just above Kiev. We've given up Kiev. The Germans got a victory point for that one. I think they got 2, actually. And they took Cherkasy, which is where the roadnet hex is. So I think between the 2, they got 3 points. And the little jaunter across the river there has pretty much failed. A unit went across to try to help. He was near that where that heavy artillery is right there. He went across and tried to help, and he's not there. You don't see him, so that ought to tell you the story. He took 2 strength point losses in his attack, trying to save his buddy there. Probably shouldn't even have attacked. Should have just sat there as a supply link. All right, but now the big story. So Kiev. All right. Like I said, I probably could have waited till the pincer stuff started, which is going to be starting here shortly, coming in from the north. But I've been going after Kiev, and the bridges are blown. All right. But now that I said that, I just had the Soviet engineering phase. I got to make a change. You can watch me. I got to get that because it's hidden from me. That's why I didn't do it. That portable bridge marker is sitting right here underneath his headquarters. And he's pointed right there at that engineer. I need to get that out. So that's not there anymore. Take that interdiction marker off of him and get that bridge out of the way to be used later. I was supposed to have done that, but I say it was hidden there. I didn't see it. So there's Kiev right there and right there. Once those are taken, all the stuff up above here, all of that stuff up above gets activated. So things will start to happen. I'm trying to look here when the attack from the north. It looks like, unless I'm looking at this wrong. No, it looks like the last day of August and the first day of September. It looks like the September 1st is when it kicks off from the north. I'm looking at the units. I have to assume it's this large stack of units right in here. So they'll get activated. Now, this is the 32nd turn. So I've got 2 more turns to do the German logistics pause. And like I said, I didn't want to do it until I get these rail lines out and extend these things so I can put these base units as far out into Mother Russia as I can. And I get 3 of them. Now, they do not act as a supply source, but you can bring MSUs, supply units, you can bring them right in on top of them. So I'll get these 3 base units that are sitting right here. They'll get, as soon as I do logistics pause, they'll go in. If not, they'll go in on the next turn anyhow. So they're going to get deployed. That's why I needed to get these rail lines out there as far as I could. Kiev is probably going to fall, because there's no bridges for the Soviets to really get troops across anything with any power anyhow. And then once they're taken, all this other stuff's going to activate. So then the fight will be on. I mean, honestly, though, the Soviets look pretty daunting compared to what granted, the Germans have these big 7 and 8 strength infantry units. But there's a few Soviet units up there, so we'll have to see. I don't know how much of that's going to change until that northern force comes in. So there you have it. That's how it stands. This rail line here, like I say, once this rail line hits that road right there, it's going to move that marker quite a ways out to where up that road and down that road quite a ways, which will give the supply. Now, all these little tracks you see in here, the little ant trails, you can't use those as a road net. It has to be a main road or what's called a motorway. And these maps don't have any motorways. Typhoon has them. They're big red roads. They're probably the more major of the roads. Well, what would be a major road in Mother Russia at the time. Soviets, you can look over there on the chart. While they're taking the casualties, of course they get them replaced, the Germans, geez, they're taking, I mean, they're recovering them, but they're taking damaged air units. Haven't had any destroyed yet, but they're taking some damaged air units, and of course those 2 didn't recover. So, and this last turn, looking at the cups here, a lot of air power is used. So y'all know my system, so I was reading back through the rules, and I haven't quite got this down to a science yet, but I'm getting there. You can actually have 3 air units fly to a mission hex. Up to. So what I'm doing now is, I use my odd or even roll for air. So now what I'm doing is, if they are going to fly air there, what I'll do is I'll roll it. I'm not going to take it all the way up to 3, but I'll roll another dice, and if it's odd or even again, I'll add a second aircraft to it. So you might have a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-2, or you might have a 2-on-nothing, and all they do is fight off the anti-aircraft. And another thing that I'm doing too, and if you were playing against somebody, you wouldn't do this, but another thing that I'm doing is since I'm blind drawing, I might draw a fighter, which is considered a firing unit in this game, to go into a hex that where maybe no, like, say a Russian fighter flew into a hex where a German unit didn't. Well, the Russian fighters don't do close air, or they don't do interdiction, I should say. But they might have a 0 for close air. And so they're literally, all they're going to do is fly in and get shot at by flak and possibly get knocked out or whatever. But to me, what it simulates is just the bad assignment of aircraft. Maybe they were sent to the wrong location, which I guarantee you would happen. I mean, if it happens in modern war, damn well it happened in World War II. So that's another little thing that I throw in that I think it works for me. I don't have to brain power the aircraft. Granted, if you're playing against somebody, you would be a little more precise with that. You would make the decisions yourself that I need to fly 3 Stukas into this engagement here because I need to get those -3 die roll modifiers. Or maybe I fly 2 bombers and a fighter in, just in case the Soviets send air to intercept. And remember, when you're playing this, Soviets don't have an interdiction ability. The Germans do, but the Germans don't have any headquarters. The Soviets do. And you use those interdictions. Now, what I'm doing for the interdictions using my little air die roll is the headquarters units for the Soviets that are in engagement areas like Kiev, Kiev and Cherkasy, and Kremenchuk, and then down here going towards the Crimea. So there's like 4 headquarters units that I'm rolling to see if the Germans will fly interdiction in there. And if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. And that's just the way it goes. So, all right, I'm enjoying this. This is 3 turns in. Yeah, it's a little slow, but I get a little quicker with each one as I start to soak in the little odds and ends rules. And look, if you're going to play a monster game, believe me, I think this is one of the best ways to do it. Don't try to master all the rules right up front. All right? Learn how to move. Learn how the basics of supply works. In this game here, learn how attack supply. Because I'm telling you, trace supply is not hard, and attack supply is not that hard. You got to have depots or MSUs there to have attack supply. Learn how the combat system works. The toughest system in this so far that for me that I've learned is the replacements. How to handle the replacements. The Germans really aren't that hard to do. Of course, I haven't had any yet. But the Soviets, because the casualties are so phenomenal, is learning how to move them up that board from box to box, spending points to do it. And don't think because you get 9 replacement points that, oh yeah, I'm going to get a massive Soviet units on the board. Not that easy, all right? But as units move up that board, when they get to the top, they can either come on from the cadre box as a step 1 reinforcement somewhere, or you can spend the point, move them up to the active box, and then they can come in as a reinforcement on the following turn. Or if they are in a 1-step mode, you can spend a point on the next turn and reduce one of their step losses, and then after you get them to full strength, then you can bring them in as reinforcements. I will say this that I'm learning quickly is you can exchange onboard ZAP units for the Soviet Union that are in the cities for a 1-step unit of common type, so like an infantry unit. So you want to get those ZAP units, and the ZAP units can be in the cadre box, not the active box, and you can bring them back on as reinforcements in a city. Get them on there, and then on the following turn, you replace them with a 1-step infantry unit or cavalry unit or something like that. So use them. Use up those ZAP units until you don't have any, and you can use them throughout the whole game. So as they get replaced, and you put them back in the box, Soviet units are going to get destroyed. You'll have another infantry unit that you can use, exchange with that ZAP unit. Just remember, it's got to be done in cities, though. All right? And I think it's just major cities. I've still got a lot of inactive stuff for the Soviets over there far to the east and to the northeast. And then, like I say, the big jumble over here is going to come active here shortly. All right, so that's turn 3. Having fun with this. Like I say, it's a little slow, and I'll get faster as I go, or I might get slower as I go, depending on where all the fighting is going to happen at and the number of units you get on the board. So, but I mean, if you look at it, it's not that. Come on, this is a 4-map game, 3-map, 4-map. 1, 2, 3, 4-map game, and that's pretty much that's what's sitting here. That's it for the Germans. I think they have some specialty group stuff I got to look at. And the Soviets, they got pretty much what you consider one full sheet over there. So I'll come here and take a look at it. You got special groups that on die rolls, whether they'll come in or not. So, I mean, it's not, if I put all of this over there on the turn record track with the Germans, it'd probably just double the size of what's over there. So, and then you see there's a lot of stuff going on in these cards as they get, that's all the losses that have been taken. And those ones down there, they cannot be rebuilt. If you get eliminated result, an E result in combat, they cannot be used you cannot rebuild them. And then there's certain unit types that you can't rebuild. Okay. All right. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but the expanded sequence of play, it's usually the back couple pages of the playbook. It's 3 pages or 2 3/4. but it's pretty detailed. And there's another one out there that's even somebody took the time to put even more details on it. I can't use it there because it's too small. The print's too small. And I mean, he literally tells you how to scratch your nose during this phase. I mean, it's worth it if you like that or need that kind of stuff. It's well worth having it. But it was too much for me. So, all right, let's get this thing posted up so y'all can see how the third turn's going here in the East Front Series. Barbarossa, Kiev to Rostov from GMT Games. All right, talk to y'all shortly.